Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Horns by Joe Hill. And I'm just going to read the back cover copy. Let's see. Marin Williams is dead, slaughtered under inexplicable circumstances, leaving her beloved boyfriend, Ignatius Parrish, as the only suspect. On the first anniversary of Marin's murder, Iggy spends the night drunk and doing awful things. When he wakes the next morning, he has a thunderous hangover and horns growing from his temples. Iggy possesses a terrible new power to go with his terrible new look, a macabre gift he intends to use to find the monster who killed his lover. Being good and praying for the best got him nowhere. Now it's time for revenge. It's time the devil had his due. So there you go, your little nutshell. For the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Possibly my favorite Joe Hill now at this point. And we'll sort of get into one of the reasons that might be. So, right off the bat, very first page. I don't want to be a liar, so I'm just going to take a quick glance. Very first page, horns on his head. Iggy wakes up, as it says, wakes up feeling horrible. He's got horns on his head. And he discovers this ability that the horns seem to give him. Do I tell you what it is? It's going to affect how I talk about this book if you don't know what it is. But okay, so he seems to have this strange ability, and he thinks he can use it to find out what actually happened to his girlfriend a year ago when she was horribly murdered. But it also seems to have an incredibly negative impact on Iggy. Really trying to, as always, avoid spoilers. So we're following Iggy, as he sort of travels around town, talking to different people. We get his background is being filled in, and we do get some time jumps, going back in time, going way back to when he first met Marin, eventually going to a year ago, and the terrible things that happened, and all of this intercut with Iggy, his horns, his powers, and the progression of the story. And it all works. I loved the characters. Iggy, even take away the horns and the abilities, and he is a flawed but very interesting character, and the flashback stuff, the relationship that he has with his older brother when they were younger, great stuff. The introduction of Marin is really a lot of fun in my opinion, and the introduction of some of the other characters as well, and they're all, I feel, fully fleshed out, and it builds mystery, but doesn't save everything until the very end. So it's not a mystery story. It's got horrific elements to it. There's a love element to it. I'm not gonna lie, I was shedding some tears at certain points in this book. It hit me. I got so involved with the characters that it really hit me. Certain part of it. So I just enjoyed the story structure. Joe Hill, you know, nothing at all wrong with his writing style. I hate to say it, he has a very Stephen King feel to the way he tells a story. I've read this, and I've read Nosferatu and the Fireman, and Nosferatu and the Fireman straight up to me felt like Stephen King books. This elements of Stephen King, or at least as style-wise, storytelling style-wise, but not as much, didn't feel as much like this could have actually been written by Stephen King as Nosferatu, the Fireman did. And that's not a bad thing at all. I hate to say that because, Stephen King's his dad. I don't want to say he's just copying his dad, but I think the influence is obvious. But then you could probably say that between all sorts of different authors. So, yes, just great characters, great story, an emotional roller coaster, some terrible things happening, and just a fantastic story. That's why I gave it 5 out of 5. But there may be a little bias in how I rated this book. And people bring their history to everything, essentially. I'm speaking in generalities, of course. But especially with media, when you're watching something, when you're reading something, when you're consuming entertainment, your history might inform how you consume that entertainment or how you process that entertainment. As a lifelong comic book fan, while I'm reading this book, which is a fantasy horror novel. I hate to use the term fantasy. I don't want people thinking dragons and wizards and that kind of thing. But fantastical elements that aren't, it's not vampires, werewolves, zombies, that sort of thing. But it is a guy with horns and a horrific murder a year ago and all this stuff. But as I was reading this, I very much felt like this could have very easily been a comic book. Especially Vertigo, DC's Vertigo imprint, back when that originally existed. And then it could have been one of their Black Label books, when Black Label was a thing. Vertigo is back now, so it could be Vertigo again. Or, even more appropriate, would have fit into Joe Hill's Hill House line of comics from DC. But I see Iggy as, and hopefully this isn't spoilery in any way, but I see Iggy as a comic book anti-hero. I'm a huge fan of anti-heroes, darker characters, Moon Knight from Marvel, but if we're going to go over to DC, John Constantine, or Constantine, never sure how to pronounce that. Absolutely love that guy. And then the one character I thought of the most would be the Demon. You got Jason Blood, he becomes Etrigan the Demon. Because he's a demon. He's got horns on his head. So, yeah, Iggy very much feels like a comic book anti-hero character. And the villain of the book very much feels like they could be a comic book villain. And hopefully this does not dissuade anybody. If you're not a fan of comic books at all, you're just going to read a great novel. Well-written novel with great characters and a fascinating story. I'm simply saying, and this is why I talked about people bringing their history to their consumption of things. My history is a huge comic book fan. Look, I got freaking Marvel Zombies behind me. There's Spider-Woman up there. I got The Question and John Constantine right over there. And which way should my thumb go? There's a Japanese-inspired DC Trinity. I believe that's more than the Trinity because I see Aquaman. There's a Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Superman, Batman. Got some Steve Rude Nexus stuff up there. You can't see my Marvel Comics calendar. That entire wall that I'm looking at right over there is covered in comic books. Regular viewers have heard all of this stuff before. So that history, the fact that I've been buried in comics for most of my life, pretty much all of my reading life, just simply is what causes me to see this book in that light. Plus, Joe Hill, I believe I first heard of Joe Hill through his comic book work, Lock and Key. I have a box set of it right over there. I have not read any of it yet, but I have a box set of the entire series. So yeah, he was a comic book writer. I don't know, probably publishing short stories before he was doing comics, but I don't know. Haven't studied his history. Haven't read his short story collection. Or his novella collection. It's Full Throttle Novellas. Is that what it's called? Anyway, I have it. And 20th Century Ghosts is the short story collection. But yes, so I can't say if I would have given this 5 out of 5 stars without my background as a complete comic book nerd. Probably would have, simply because, again, fantastic writing, fantastic story, but it definitely gets pushed over the edge because I can see it very clearly as a comic book series. A nice maxi series, 12 issues and out. Don't keep it going. Don't force more story. Anyway, that's Horns. Also, I haven't watched the movie yet. I like to read the book before I see the movie if I can, but it is now high up on my watch list. As soon as I finish this, I always Google where to watch such and such if I don't already own it. Where can I watch it? Which streaming service is going to have it? And hopefully I don't have to pay for it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check out the movie. Anyway, that's Horns by Joe Hill. 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. If you haven't read it yet, check it out. And there you go. Question for this video. Are you a fan of Joe Hill? Are you a fan of Stephen King? Do you think Joe Hill writes just like Stephen King? Now, admittedly, I have only a small measure of Joe Hill under my belt. 3 books at this moment. I do have Heart-Shaped Box. I have 20th Century Ghosts. I have whatever the one is. I feel like it's something about the weather. Or is it called? Is it Full Throttle? And then there's another one that's got weather in the title. I don't know. One of them's got Black Phone in it, which I haven't watched because I haven't read that story yet. But anyway, obviously, I think Joe Hill writes very much like Stephen King. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.